Hey guys, this is Josh over at Motobox, and today we're going to walk you through the install of our Panigale V4 Slimline LED kit. Pretty straightforward install, and let's get right to it. So first of all, you'll want to start by unlatching your seat and your cowl in the back. So you're going to go ahead and remove that. Once that's out of the way, you're going to want to remove your seat, and your seat will have some Allen bolts. I believe they're number 4. So you'll want to remove that, take it out. Okay. Sorry, I'm working with one hand here. So we don't have a stock tail on this bike. It came to us from our friends over at Lux Moto in SoCal. So we didn't have a stock tail on it, but we'll walk you through how to remove the stock tail. And the reason that the kit is already on it is because it's a similar disassembly of the stock tail. So the stock tail, you're going to have a long fender that comes out. You're going to have 4, I believe between 4 or 6 torque screws. So you're going to pop the cover off the top of the tail, and there should be some torque screws. It's basically like a 2-piece sandwiched fender. So you're going to undo the torque screws, and then if you look down here, you're going to have torque screws as well. And pretend that's the OEM fender. You're going to undo those and then take this out. So once you have that whole fender assembly removed, you'll have your connectors, and we're going to show you that in a second. Alright, so once you've removed your fender, you're going to run into the rear section harness, and you're going to notice you have a sub-harness connector here, and the sub-harness would be your turn signal and license plate light connector. So you want to keep that. You don't want to touch this, just leave that. You don't need to. You'll have your black connectors are your turn signals, and then you'll have your license plate light connector, which is this white one right here in my hand. And I'm working with one hand here, so thank you for your guys' patience. If you look underneath, you'll see these 2 bolt holes will be your main attachment points. That's the only place you're going to have to put bolts in, okay? So let's look at the Motobox Fender Eliminator that you're going to be receiving. So here I'm looking at the prototype version, which is, it's close to what you'll be receiving, but the finish on the product you'll be receiving in the mail will be slightly nicer. The harness will look similar to this, but will be shorter, and you won't have, you'll see, put a little bit of electrical tape there, and these wires. So you'll have, if you do the turn signal function only, you'll only have these black connectors and this white connector. That's it. If you do the fully integrated version, you're going to have this dual element connector as well. And this is what you're going to use to tap into your tail light. Now, why don't we do that plug and play? Because if we did that plug and play, you wouldn't have anywhere else to plug in your tail light. So the only way we could do it is by tapping into the wires. And we use these posi taps, which make it very, very easy. You don't need to cut your wires. It won't damage it. It basically just pokes a little tiny pinhole into the wire, and it gets your power source from there. So that's basically it. It'll all come pre-installed like this. So you'll have your upper cover where it needs to be. Your license plate mount will be installed. You have your LED license plate frame. And this is a frame that we've been using for a few tests now, so if it looks a little bit used, that's why. Yours will be brand new. So this is the clear lens that I'm using here. Smoked will be basically look like a tinted lens. They are OEM grade lenses, crystal clear, and they actually help disperse the light a little bit better than most of the lenses that are out there. Alright, so let's go over to the install. Okay, so along with your Motobox kit, you're going to receive this custom spacer that we make. This custom spacer has an angle to it, and this is so that we can line up the tail light perfectly once we install it. So you're going to take your M5 bolts, and you're going to feed them from underneath the kit. So you'll see those slots. So you're going to want to come in from underneath. Let's see if I can get my hand here. You're going to feed them in from underneath. Whoops. Just like that. Okay. You're going to have them stick up. And you're going to want to install the spacer with the Motobox font towards the back. So you want it like that. That's how you want it. You want the Motobox font towards all the nuts. Okay? So let's go over and install this. Okay, so basically, if you did the turn signal version only, you're only going to worry about the black connectors and your LED light for your license plate. So you're going to want to connect your white connector to your license plate light connector. There's only one connector like it, won't fit anywhere else. And then you're going to have your black connectors, which go into your turn signals. And you'll see you only have 2 black connectors, so those match up. Now you may have to swap the connections if your turn signals are backwards. If if you hit left and the right turns on, or right turns on left, you just swap them over and you'll be all set. So you connect those, and let me show you what that'll look like once it's all done. Okay, so this is what it'll look like when it's all connected. If you only did the turn signal option of this kit, you're all done with the connections. If you did the fully integrated version, then you'll have your dual element connector. Now this is the one I set up here for testing, but yours will be wired into your harness. You won't have these posi-tap connectors here. So basically, you'll be tapped in to your ground and your power. So you're gonna run this wire, and this is the part you can skip if you didn't get the fully integrated version. So you're gonna run this wire into the tail, into the subframe. You're gonna wanna run it right there, because that'll take you straight down the side. You're gonna go straight down this side right here, all the way down to the tail light connector. Okay, your tail light connector, you're gonna have these connectors once you reach this section. This is under the seat, right on the side. You're gonna move this out of the way. Okay, you're gonna have this connector right here, and you'll notice the loom goes up towards the tail light, and you should have a black wire, yellow wire, oh, that's a fly, and a white and red stripe wire. So if you notice here, I already have posi taps attached. So I have one posi tap on the yellow wire. Yellow wire is the running light, and the white and red stripe wire is the brake light. Okay, over on your dual element, your orange wire, is your running light, and your blue and stripe wire is your brake light. So let's go ahead and feed that through the tail, and then we'll see what the connection looks like. Once you've pulled the wires through the subframe, through the tail, you're going to have them come out right here. Now you may have to dig a little bit through them and pull them out. And you can disregard the black wire. You can tape that down, cut it off, or whatever you'd like to do. You don't need that. Okay, so once you have your posi taps installed like this, you're gonna loosen the tops. Okay, you're gonna kind of squeeze that wire down so it's nice and sharp to get in there. And you stick it in, twist it, and that should be good. It's in there nice and strong. You're gonna do the same with your running light. Running light's gonna go in, loosen it, push it in, tighten it, and you're all set. That's it. And that's pretty much all of your wiring. Nothing else to do. So let's go ahead and start bolting everything down. Okay guys, so this is what the spacer should look like once it's pre-installed to the Slimline kit. And all that wiring, you're just gonna gently push it back into your subframe. Get it all nice and tidy, that way you can fit this up to those 2 mounting holes right there. Okay guys, so what I did is I stuffed as much of the harness as I could into the subframe cutout. And let me focus here. And I just left very little of the harness underneath the block off plate. And also I went ahead and I just installed one bolt to kind of help me work it. Okay, so then you'll come up in here and you'll see the spacer's a little sideways, so you're going to take your other bolt, you're going to push it in through, line it up with a spacer, and you're going to want to make sure that that harness in there, see if I could focus, make sure that that harness right there, you see it, the black harness where my finger's tapping, you're going to want to put it behind the bolt or in front of it, in front of the spacer, so that the bolt keeps it from sliding back and be exposed. It'll just look so much cleaner if it's all nice and tucked. So let me get that all buttoned up and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so then you're going to take your number 3 Allen wrench and you're going to tighten down the bolts that we supplied. Okay, and if you notice here, oh, well, one of my washers sunk through, but I'll fix that. But if you notice the slots, those are made to give you some adjustment. So you can kind of set it to where you like to put it in place. I found that if you push it as far down as it goes, that gives you the best fitment. Also, if this cover right here is not aligned the way it's going to look on the video, we gave you some slots at the end of it that you can adjust as well. You just loosen the bolts that it comes with and you can slide it up and down and kind of set it in the place that you like. Okay, so you're going to tighten it down and it should fit very flush. Let me show you guys what that looks like. So there it is. Once it's installed, this cover should fit nicely in there. You should have maybe like a 3mm gap, not too much. And you want to tighten these bolts, not over tighten them. You don't want to strip your threads. Remember, the subframes are aluminum, but make sure they're fairly tight. That way this doesn't fall off. You can also use blue Loctite if you'd like to get it on there nice and secure. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the install. You'll see your Slimline kit will be fitting nice and flush. You can go back and reinstall your seat and your tail cover, and you're pretty much all done. So we do want to apologize if the video is a little bit raw, not the best. We had a very limited time with this bike, so we spent most of that time designing and testing prototypes. The video kind of came last, but we wanted to make sure we got something for you guys before we just threw it out there into the public. So like I said, if you only got the turn signal version, you can ignore the rest of the wiring that we did. You don't have to worry about that. And I'll post up the contact information just in case you guys have any questions or concerns. While you're installing this, I'll put a phone number so you guys can reach out to us, alrighty?